Homer's Odyssey has survived for thousands of years for a reason. It's about a man trying to get home after a war, but it's also about pride and temptation and loyalty and identity. The material is already incredibly rich. Every adaptation has to answer the same question: what are you bringing to the story? Sometimes a filmmaker reveals something new about a classic. Other times, the original starts feeling like a framework for someone else's ideas. I never felt like I was watching Homer's world. I felt like I was watching a modern Hollywood interpretation of Homer. That modern perspective shows up most clearly in Odysseus himself. The film presents him as a man haunted by the acts of violence. I understand why that approach appeals to contemporary audiences. War stories today often emphasize trauma and moral responsibility, but Homer is interested in something different. Odysseus' defining quality is his cunning intelligence, and the Trojan horse is arguably its greatest example. The poem does not treat that victory as something he spends the rest of his life feeling guilty about. By making guilt such a central part of his character, the film shifts the story toward modern liberal values. That same perspective appears elsewhere in the film. More attention is given to the emotional experiences of the women affected by Odysseus' choices. Penelope, his wife, also has a scene where she is upset and yells about not being the ruler because she isn't a man. It's a reinterpretation that filters the poem through a modern liberal moral framework. Nolan based the film on Emily Wilson's feminist translation, and that influence is easy to see. I would have preferred a film that trusted the worldview of the original rather than revising it. A big disappointment is the visual style. This should be a beautiful movie, but it rarely is. The colors are so dull that the world feels muted. They released behind-the-scenes footage and it honestly looks way better than the finished film. The locations have bright sunlight, rich blue seas, and plenty of natural color, yet so much of that disappears once the color grading is applied. Everything just ends up looking gray. The costumes have the same problem. The issue is not simply historical accuracy. Movies take creative liberties all the time. The problem is that the designs just aren't very interesting. Some of them honestly look pretty cheap. Compare all that to Excalibur. Everything about that movie embraces mythology. The armor shines, the colors pop, the music is huge, and you remember those images after the movie ends. Even Troy, for all the liberties it takes with Homer, understands this better. I don't think it's a great retelling either, but at least it gives you memorable action, good visuals, and Brad Pitt completely sells Achilles. The action here doesn't help either. This is supposed to be some of history's greatest warriors, but some of the fight scenes are so poorly done at times. When Odysseus uses a bow, I never really believed I was watching someone who had mastered it. The movements felt so awkward to me. The dialogue doesn't do the actors many favors too. A lot of the scenes feel like characters are explaining things instead of talking naturally, and several performances come across as stiff because of it. Ellen Page's character stood out the most. The movie presents this person as the greatest warrior in Greek history, yet there's a scene where she can barely move around in armor that doesn't even seem to fit her properly. She's way too short and scrawny. It was a clear miscast. Then there's Travis Scott, which is another choice that feels completely out of place. Does it make the world feel more authentic? Does it add something to Homer's story? I don't see it. It feels more like a political move than anything else. I think this movie is part of a bigger trend in Hollywood. Instead of simply adapting classic stories, studios keep turning them into culture war projects. Casting decisions become political statements, interviews become political statements, and before the movie even comes out, people are arguing about the politics instead of the story itself. And when a movie like The Odyssey changes its source material in the name of diversity, a lot of critics celebrate it. Yet those same critics will praise a movie like Moana for its lack of diversity, even though it is also a fictional story rooted in a particular culture. I also want to touch on some of the people who defended the film by focusing entirely on the themes and symbolism. This is something I see a lot of the time in modern film criticism. People become so interested in what a movie represents that they stop judging how it actually works. A movie can have interesting ideas and still have weak dialogue. It can have themes and still be visually boring. It can have a message people agree with but still be poorly made. I think it's a mistake to treat symbolism as the highest form of analysis. Before we talk about what a movie means, we should ask whether it actually works as a movie. The sound mixing is another issue, although at this point Nolan's reputation for dialogue mixing is pretty well established. I had many of the same frustrations here. Nolan had one of the greatest stories ever written sitting right in front of him. He had the opportunity to create a truly unforgettable version of it. Instead, he created slop that is more interested in correcting Homer than understanding him.